Greetings. In celebration of Black History Month, I'd like to discuss the story of Prince Hall, our founder, who was a great American and the first Grand Master associated with our first Grand Lodge and its expansion. Approximately 1 year and 4 months prior to the writing of the Declaration of Independence, Prince Hall engraved his image in the annals of American history. Prince Hall, a free black man, became a property owner, voter, and community activist in the Cambridge-Boston colony. His story has not been told nor recorded in the history textbooks, despite the fact that he was a civil rights activist who made a significant contribution to the growth and development of our nation. Although little is known about the circumstances of his birth, his condition of servitude, or his occupation, we do know, however, that because of Prince Hall's dedication to improve the quality of life for his people, accompanied by a desire to become a Freemason, he and 14 other men of color received the 3 degrees of Freemasonry by being initiated into the fraternity on March 6, 1775, in an Irish military lodge attached to the 38th Foot of the British Army. This event made Prince Hall the first of his race in North America to enter into the oldest and most prestigious fraternity in history. The historical record reflects that the others were Cyrus Johnson, Buston Slinger, Prince Reese, Prince Radine, Peter Freeman, Peter Best, John Canton, Duff Reform, Thomas Sanderson, Cato Spain, Boston Smith, Fortune Howard, and Richard Titley. Around April 14th of 1776, the military regiment to which Hall's Lodge was attached received orders to relocate to the New York colony, leaving Prince Hall and his Negro brethren, all civilians, without a lodge. Prior to leaving, however, the Worshipful Master, Sergeant John Batt, issued to Prince Hall and his brethren a permit to walk on St. John's Day and to bury their dead with full Masonic rites. As a result, African Lodge No. 1, Ancient Accepted York Masons, was formed, with Prince Hall elected as Worshipful Master. As the Batt permit left Prince Hall with Masonic limitations, he petitioned the Grand Lodge of England for a full charter in 1784. On March 2nd of 1784, Prince Hall wrote a letter to William Moody, Worshipful Master of Brotherly Love, No. 55 in London, England, stating that African Lodge had been in operation for 8 years, but it only had a permit to walk on St. John's Day and to bury their dead in manner and form. He felt it best to send to the fountains of whence he received the light for a warrant. This warrant or charter was prepared that same year, but was held up when the fee sent by Prince Hall never arrived. After several years, Hall decided to entrust another fee to Captain James Scott, the brother-in-law of John Hancock, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Captain Scott delivered the letter and the money and received a charter, which he duly delivered to Prince Hall at around the time of the writing of the United States Constitution. Prince Hall acknowledged receipt of the charter in a letter to England and added, "By the grace of God, I shall endeavor to fulfill all that is required of me in the charter, and I shall make the Constitution my guide." According to record, the naming and numbering of African Lodge No. 459, which was later changed to 371 on the English Grand Lodge Register, has been and is in the exclusive possession of the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons of Massachusetts, and it's secured in the First National Bank of Boston. It's brought out and displayed every 10 years during the Prince Hall Masonic pilgrimage. Some of us have seen it and treasure it, for it is believed to be the only original charter issued by the Grand Lodge of England that is now in the possession of any lodge in the United States. Prince Hall made significant impact upon society during his life. Among his many, he petitioned General George Washington to admit men of color into the Continental Army. Of further note, Hall distinguished himself at Bunker Hill. He led the entire lodge membership in support of Governor Bowdoin during the rebellion of Daniel Shea and his group. He petitioned the Massachusetts State Legislature for funds to educate children of color. He opened his home as a school to provide an education to adults of color. he petitioned the state legislature to grant to all citizens of color the right to own real property and to vote in all elections. He also served as a special deputy to the English Grand Lodge and was armed with the charge to travel throughout the colonies to determine the number of subordinate Caucasian lodges still operating as such in the New World. The question of extending Masonry arose when Absalom Jones of Philadelphia appeared in Boston in 1791. He was an ordained Episcopal priest and a Freemason who was interested in establishing a Masonic lodge in Philadelphia. Black men from Providence, Rhode Island also traveled to Boston to inquire about Masonry. At a subsequent assembly in 1791, the African Grand Lodge was formed by delegations from Philadelphia, Providence, and New York. Prince Hall served as its first Grand Master and remained in this capacity until his death. African Lodge in Philadelphia and Hiram Lodge in Providence came under the aegis of this Grand Lodge in 1797. Prince Hall died December 4th, 1807. A broken column monument marks his gravesite in Copp's Hill Cemetery in Boston. At a General Assembly of the Craft in 1808, the name African Grand Lodge was changed to Prince Hall Grand Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons of Massachusetts. The Deputy Grand Master, Brother Nero Prince, became Prince Hall's successor as Grand Master, followed by George Middleton, then Peter Lew, and then the well-known John T. Hilton, who recommended a Declaration of Independence from the English Grand Lodge in 1827 and the assumption of powers and prerogatives as an independent Grand Lodge. During this most significant period of Masonic growth, Masonry spread throughout the colonies. Many lodges and Grand Lodges were formed under the authority of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Today, there are over 1 million Prince Hall Freemasons in approximately 50,000 lodges in 44 jurisdictions throughout the United States. It takes 3 more lodges to form a Grand Lodge. Hannibal Lodge No. 1 of San Francisco, Philomathian Lodge No. 2 of Sacramento, and Victoria Lodge No. 3 of San Francisco are the 3 lodges that formed the Grand Lodge, Free, Ancient, and Accepted Masons, organized in San Francisco, California, on Tuesday, June 18, 1855. Hence, the 9th Grand Lodge was formed. The fraternity now holds the distinguished title of Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons of the State of California, Incorporated. Since its colonial birth, the organization has attracted to its ranks professional men in business, government, religion, and community service, civic-minded men of good will and character who continue to provide the needed services for the betterment of mankind, thereby leaving a legacy by which Prince Hall Freemasons are best known. To be one, ask one.